Welcome to the LA Business Podcast, your destination to hear stories of how businesses grow and scale. I'm Robert Brill, CEO of BrillMedia.co and the host of this podcast. Now, let's jump right into this week's interview. William Scott Goldman, thanks for being with us today on this episode of the LA Business Podcast. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks, Robert. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So, William, you are the managing director and founder of Goldman Law Group. And when we had connected, you were telling me about your COVID experiences, your grassroots marketing. Tell us a little bit about your overall experience. I mean, marketing your legal firm, how you got started. Let's start there. How did you grow a legal firm? How does that come about?
Good question. Well, basically, I started in 2006 after being a part of another firm, and then I started my own. And for the first several years, it was a lot of word of mouth marketing, which is always a great source, and it's gratifying when people recommend you to others, family, friends, business associates, that sort of thing. And so we sort of built it from there. And then with COVID, we started expanding. We realized that given the pandemic, you have different outbreaks in different areas geographically. So then we started reaching out nationwide, much more than before. I would say most of our clients are actually in California right now for the US, and a lot are in overseas, China. So we've really become an international practice, a 24-hour practice because of what all happened this past year with COVID. And so the typical day, I'll basically start about 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're based in Washington, D.C. And then from there, I'm talking with our East Coast clients, Boston, D.C., New York, a lot of our European clients at that time, being that it's already mid to late afternoon over there. And then a couple hours later, I'll start hearing from our folks out in the Midwest. I'll have our clients from Illinois and Minnesota, Texas. They'll start contacting us. And then as the afternoon goes on, late in the day, 2, 3 o'clock, we'll start hearing from our friends in California. And that'll go on until maybe 6, 7 at night, sometimes a little later. And then, of course, it's business time in China and Japan and all by 9 p.m. So it's a very long day, but it's great being.
I imagine. So tell us a little bit about what your specialties are.
Well, we're a business and branding IP law firm, which sets us apart from most traditional IP firms. IP being intellectual property, patents, trademarks, and copyrights. We actually work with tons of early stage businesses, startups, creative individuals and entities. Our slogan is representing innovation. We like to offer innovative approaches to innovative business clients. So that touches on entertainment law, that touches on copyright, trademark, and a subspecialty, a field that I created called branding law, which pretty much encompasses everything. So yeah, it's a pretty far-reaching practice geared to business types and creative individuals.
And when you talk about what is branding law, tell us a little bit about that space, because it's specific to how you acquire customers and how you generate awareness about you guys. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's very much central to what we do. It's something I came up with about 15 years ago. I had been thinking about it for a long time, and it really covers everything. It covers trademarks, like I said, copyright, entertainment law, rights of publicity, trade regulation, antitrust, false advertising, trade libel. It's very interdisciplinary. Mm-hmm. And our client base consists of graphic designers, entertainers, ad agencies, really anybody media savvy and connected with PR, social influence, and the 24-hour news cycle. Because when you really think about it, 21st century life is all about the brand. Whether you're the next Apple, or Tesla, Steve Jobs, or Elon Musk, corporate branding and personal branding are key, and we're perfectly positioned to deliver the expert legal advice and business strategy, again, allowing us to offer unmatched value, representing innovation for our unique client base, unlike any other firm, representing innovation being our motto, like I said. and branding law really being the key behind everything that we do.
So prior to COVID, how were you? I mean, a lot of your business comes from word of mouth. Were you doing any marketing prior to that? Tell us a little bit about how you generated awareness and ultimately new clients for the business.
It was a lot of online marketing, and different websites, just getting the word out. Um, and then once things started to progress with COVID, we did a lot of email outreach, just spreading the word, and it really developed organically. And basically, once people realized what we do, this subspecialty, sort of our own niche in the IP business law field, with an emphasis, like I said, on branding law, people have just been gravitating toward us, and it's grown exponentially, really, with more of the word of mouth. But instead of it just being word of mouth, mostly on the East Coast, now it's more nationwide and international.
So did you have an email list going into March?
Not much, really. We started developing that. We got with a digital marketing expert, also based in California. And with his help, we were able to develop a list and start pitching. And he's been managing the campaign. And from there, we really grew the business, like I said, exponentially.
And okay, so let's dive into that. Like, where do you find the greatest success in what's the sales cycle like? How long does it take a person to initially get into your sphere of influence, and then it turns into a customer? Is there a nurturing relationship there? Is there a nurturing component there? Do you not hear from people for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they reach out to you with a problem? Like, tell us about how a customer goes from "I've never heard of you" to "I now want to work with you"?
A lot of it's instantaneous. A lot of it will be based on just an email. They'll have the need, whether they want trademark protection, copyright protection. They have a specific request. They received a cease and desist letter, and so now they have a legal problem that needs to be solved. They need some business strategy advice, which we offer, branding advice. So really, they'll approach us with a specific question, problem, need, and then we'll apply what we offer, our expertise, tailored exactly toward that goal.
And when you think about your marketing efforts, is there a platform or set of platforms that are particularly relevant for you for acquiring new customers?
We started reaching out to various freelancing platforms, legal freelancing platforms, and so those have been helpful. And then, like I said before, we have our digital marketing guru who sends out email pitches to potential clients. And I would say based on those, plus the word of mouth, our SEO has been really, really good. So we're able to get a lot of recognition through the search engines. So when people look for trademarks, branding, copyright, entertainment law, rights of publicity, will pop right up, and oftentimes they'll just contact us right through the website even.
And when you're doing SEO, who's the person inside your organization that's responsible for just starting that process and making it work for you guys?
We have a really good web designer, and he'll set the site up, or he has set the site up to where it's optimized for SEO. And then from there, I've gone in myself, I fine-tuned a lot of the keywords and that sort of thing, and all the other aspects that are looked for by the various search engines, using some various tools, of course, too, online. And I've also posted on various online directory sites for backlinks, and we've had other people helping us with that too, where they'll reach out and find other sites. I think that helps a great deal in terms of boosting the page ranking and that sort of thing.
That's great. Looking at one of the URLs you shared with us is branding-law.com, which is already a very SEO friendly URL. SEO is such a long-term play, and I think sometimes clients have difficulty just waiting for SEO to actually play out. Do you find that it's an ongoing effort for your organization? Do you kind of ebb and flow in and out of like the efforts that you're spending on SEO? Like, what excites you most about the marketing that you're doing within your organization?
Well, it's very much been grassroots, like you said initially, and that in itself is exciting. Years ago, we had tried the Google AdWords approach, and back then it was before everybody was doing it, and so the bid fees were fairly reasonable. Now it's not really the case, and so by doing some guerrilla marketing, so to speak, by building up the backlinks, doing our own SEO, we've been able to bypass that whole process, generating organic traffic, which the results speak for themselves. And having the URL, like you said, that was actually done, I believe, back in 2004. So way back when, once I came up with the concept of branding law, even before I wrote the book or anything else, I made it a point to grab that domain and variations on that domain. And I think, too, just having a long-standing domain, something that's 16 years old now, I think that in itself helps the SEO, like you were alluding to before. So yeah, I think it was really a long-term play, knowing that we were going to go in this direction eventually, and capturing the domain at that time, building the site, and letting it take off from there.
So marketing is such a multifaceted approach, and it's one of those things that requires a lot of tinkering, a lot of just playing with, and it's never a silver bullet, right? Once I think a lot of clients start marketing, they're like, okay, it's going to work, it's going to happen in the first week, and it's going to be amazing. And 3 months later, like, okay, now we're just getting traction here. What kinds of things are you doing? So when COVID hit March, you started email address acquisition. You found a great deal of success in that. Is that something that you're continuing to do as you move into 2021?
I think so. Unfortunately, with the vaccine, that's very encouraging. But from everything that I've been reading, I think we're at least a good 6 months until we're getting close to back to normal, hopefully. And so at least for the first quarter, second quarter of 2021, we'll be doing the same thing. And we may even continue. It's been so successful for us, this international outreach, to where we're now international in scope. And I think we probably will just continue doing that. So in some ways, with adversity comes opportunity, and we took advantage of it and ran with it. And I think we'll continue into next year and beyond.
Did you, in terms of, I don't want to know the dollars that you spent in marketing, but just a relative question, did you increase your spending on marketing initiatives when COVID hit?
To the extent that we did outsource, so we hired out the digital marketing expert there in California. There's some expense that comes with that, though it's relatively reasonable. It's very much a grassroots marketing approach. Probably a month of his service is equivalent to maybe a week of Google AdWords, or maybe even less than that, maybe a few days of Google AdWords. So on a cost per client basis, it's very affordable, and the return on investment has definitely been there for us. So that was probably the biggest expense, ongoing expense, the only adjustment, and the results really speak for themselves. So it's something that we will continue doing.
And you have a new book coming out, is that right?
Yeah, we have the second edition, Branding Law Cases and Materials. It's a one-of-a-kind legal case book on branding law. It's the first one and only one, like I said. So yeah, it's very exciting. Coming up with the concept back in 2004, I thought about it for the longest time, and started doing the research. And around 2015, 2016, so it was at least 10, 12 years until it finally catalyzed and came together. And so 2016, we released the first edition, and of course, the legal field never stops, and I've been collecting new cases and changing things as it goes. And here it is 4 years later, and it's time for volume 2. So probably every 4 to 5 years we'll release an update is what I'm thinking now.
And what changes in that time?
Just a lot of the cases. So we have at least 3 or 4 major cases from the first edition that have been to the Supreme Court, that have been reversed, or just general trends. And back in 2016, we had the distinction of personal branding versus corporate branding, and corporate branding was primarily dealt with through lawsuits, litigation, trademarks, copyrights, a whole variety of issues, reasons. It seemed back then a lot of the personal branding cases were dealt with mostly through what we call rights of publicity law. And it seems over the past 4 years, there's been a growing trend where a lot of celebrities, a lot of influencers are actually pursuing trademark more than ever before. So that's a major theme of the book that needs to be adjusted a little bit, just because the whole social trend has shifted in just the past 4 years.
So is the fundamental issue that the influencers are looking to trademark their names and their likeness? What's the fundamental issue there?
Yeah, mostly their names. The right to publicity, that used to be name and likeness issues, but now I guess everybody is more media savvy, more aware of trademark protection and the value behind trademark protection. So you have tons of people, like I say, influencers, celebrities, that are actually applying for many, many trademarks. It used to not be that way. And so, yeah, it's definitely changed since the first edition back in 2016.
That's great. And so with regard to your marketing for 2021, it sounds like you're going to continue with the email marketing. Are there any marketing channels on the horizon that are interesting to you that you want to be testing out?
We're going to be focusing on that primarily, the digital marketing, doing more outreach to, like I said, the different websites out there, backlink creation. I think we're going to get more into social media, speaking of which, in 2021. We built out the LinkedIn page for the company, and my own LinkedIn page just a few months ago. It was a COVID type project, something I've been looking to do for a number of years and never really had the time or the inclination. So yeah, that sort of gave me the motivation to do so. And I think we're going to start moving in more into the Twitter, and maybe even a Facebook page, maybe even an Instagram page, just to build some authority, some thought leadership. So I think that's the next direction.
Thought leadership. That's great. I imagine in your field, there's just a lot of like opportunity to share knowledge with a variety of people and get a lot of SEO traction, writing content on or articles on LinkedIn. Has in general press been a big part of your marketing strategy over the last few years?
Maybe more over the last few months, actually. And here we are on this podcast again. Thanks for inviting me. So within the past, over the past few months, I've been reaching out more, and I will be doing some guest blogs and more podcasts, again, to establish thought leadership. So that's really the new direction that I'm taking it in. And I've recently signed on with the syndication source in the legal field, and they'll be helping as far as getting the various articles out to those who can even spread the social influence even further. So yeah, that's pretty much the next direction. So it would be the social marketing, also the podcasts, blogging, guest blogging, and syndications. So all that will go hand in hand and hopefully really boost public awareness over branding law, driving more sales for the book, etc.
Do you have any? How do you think about? How does it? Do you have anyone internally or your marketing consultant? Are they thinking about the overarching strategy? Because the challenge is it's so like doing all of these things effectively is so important, right?
Very true. Very true.
And how do you do all of this effectively, right? Because you can write one or two or three articles on LinkedIn or writing press, but the exponential effects come when you do that for 6, 12, 18 months, and you start to gain a bunch of traction, just like with a lot of platforms. How do you think about strategy for marketing strategy with relation to your business?
Well, I think the key is to really have an organized approach. So in getting into the social and, a lot of people, and I give them credit because at least they're getting out there and doing it. Here it is, our firm. Me personally, I procrastinated on it for so many years because I wanted to have it done just right. Kind of like the branding law book. I waited 10, 12 years until the time was right and it was ready for the world. So likewise with the social media, I've spent a lot of time strategizing, and rather than a more casual approach, I think it's going to add to the efficiency in that I have a whole schedule, a monthly schedule of different posts planned out in advance, which I think will help. I have some automation tools where I can post these various articles and whatever else and have them automatically appear at certain intervals. And then I think the syndication is big too, where I have other companies that will push my articles and thought leadership out. So basically it has an exponential effect where I'm not the one constantly doing it. It's more automated, and coming from them, it has a little more clout, I would say, too, being a third party that's basically vouching for your expertise.
Awesome. So if people want to reach out to you, how can people reach out to you, William?
Yes. Well, our website is www.goldmanlawgroup.com. Email is trademarks@branding-law.com or wsg@goldmanlawgroup.com.
Awesome. William Scott Goldman, managing attorney and founder of Goldman Law Group. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Oh, thank you, Robert. It was a pleasure. Happy holidays, and I look forward to coming back at some